is authorizing electronic delivery of plan documents and identification cards by a health benefit plan.
Any questions or objections to introduction of that bill? Seeing none, that is introduced. Are there any other bill introductions this morning? Seeing none, our first order of business is approval of minutes. Sheila sent them out on, I can't remember what day it was. It's been a little while, but for February 28th, 29th. Hopefully you've had a chance to review those minutes. Committee, do I have a motion on the minutes? We have a motion to approve the minutes by Senator Straub. Is there a second? Second by Senator Reichman. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. All those opposed, no. The minutes are approved. I had one bill we were going to work today, but I don't have all the amendments in, so the only order of business today is final action on SCR 1609. I'll have Jason give us a quick overview without all the whereas clauses, I think, and get right to the peanut of the bill, and any questions after that. Thanks, Jason.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, SCR 1609 is the concurrent resolution making application to the United States Congress to call a convention of the states for the purpose of proposing amendments to the Constitution that would establish term limits for members of Congress. The key language is on page 2 of the bill, lines 19 through 26, which is the application to call a convention of the states to establish terms for members of both the U.S. House of Representatives and the U.S. Senate.
Thank you, Jason. Any questions, committee? Senator Reichman.
Thank you very much. I wasn't there when we had this, and I don't know if this question is pertinent or not. I believe there is a lawsuit concerning the Convention of States on the numbers of us passing or not. I'd like to have, if there's any response, how that's going. And secondly, if this passes, will that still affect what we passed before on that lawsuit? Does anyone give me any information on that? Thank you.
Jason, if you've got information on the second part of that question with regard to that, the lawsuit is still pending. I can tell you that. It's still being litigated at this point, so there's been no resolution on that. With regard to the second part, I think the Constitution as it stands would still operate. Is that not correct?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, yes, the litigation is still pending, and there has been no decision on that. The constitutional requirement of a 2/3 vote, therefore, is still in effect. Both chambers, in my understanding, have adopted rules regarding such resolutions that the vote is whatever is required under the state constitution. And so until such time as they change the rules or the state constitution is altered, it would be a 2/3 majority vote to approve the resolution.
Correct. So the way they've always passed is still how we would have to do it based on the rules. Any other questions? Seeing none, committee, what is the will of the committee on this particular bill or current resolution? I don't know if there is. Senator Straub.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would move that we pass SCR 1609 favorably.
Is there a second? Second by Senator Longbine. Any discussion? Senator Reichman.
Thank you again. Now, when they call the convention, so this would just be one of the things that would have to discuss then, because I'm sure there'd be other things in there. Is this what this mean, that this is one of the things they have to take up? Thank you.
As I recall, and Jason, correct me, previously the COS stuff that's passed had 3 items, but this was one of those items. It was the term limits. The other was a balanced budget, and the third escapes me at this point. So this is just promoting that term limits piece of the convention, as I understand it. Am I correct on that, Jason?
Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, the resolution states the exclusive purpose for establishing term limits, but it is still a question of constitutional interpretation as to whether or not such resolutions can, in fact, bind a convention of the states to only a single purpose for proposing amendments.
Senator Reichman.
If I understood you said it cannot or can bind them.
It's a question of whether or not it can.
Okay.
There is a question out there, and there are several learned opinions that a convention of the states would be able to adopt other amendments besides just establishing term limits.
Thank you. So I guess my question is not that I'm against this. My question is, why do we have it? If we've already passed it and had those in there, why are we even dealing with this? Thank you.
I believe it's kind of fleshing out the term limits portion of it, because as I recall, the previous ones were a little more vague on that topic. So I think it's just a little more expounding on the term limits piece, as I understand the intent of this resolution. So, Senator Holscher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. My point kind of goes to the previous speaker. As we have heard this resolution, I think 2 or 3 times already in the past few years, there is great concern with the scope of a convention. The delegates in 1873 were, quote, limited at that point, and they clearly exceeded their power. So precedence has shown that you cannot limit COS as proponents have indicated. If we truly were concerned about term limits, we could be proposing bills. We could be taking the first step right here at our level as far as setting up term limits on ourselves. So there are plenty of other options to pursue term limits. In fact, I had a bill I introduced a couple years ago. So plenty of other alternatives for pursuing term limits other than a convention of states, which can be a very concerning path to take. So I will not be supporting. Thank you.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, we have a motion. Oh, Senator Straub.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Actually, last year I introduced a resolution. I was trying to look the number up for term limits for legislators. And I've also previously introduced bills for term limits for county commissioners that would be determined by each county. So I as I believe over 70% of the population support term limits for all elected offices. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Straub. Any further comments? Seeing none, we have a motion by Senator Straub and a second by Senator Longbine to pass out SCR 1609 favorably for passage. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, no. Motion carries. And would you like to be recorded? Okay, Senator Holscher. So that is all of our work for today. We do have a confirmation tomorrow on the Joe Massey, I think is her name, for the Civil Review Board, and plan on also hearing Senate Bill 523, which is a AG conceal and carry cleanup bill. So it should be another fairly brief meeting, hopefully tomorrow. Thank you very much for your work and your time. We are adjourned.